What's going on, everyone? Scotty White of World Combat Sports. Hopefully, everyone is doing great. Salute to you. I know it's Friday and everybody trying to get back in the swing of things. We know this. We totally understand that happy hour is back in full effect, especially down here in the South. I see the restaurants are opening up their dining areas. Now the traffic is picking up, and people are pretty much trying to resume their daily activities, but it isn't quite the same, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? It isn't exactly the way it was as far as when you approach a weekend down here. You know, you get ready to hit your favorite restaurant because not all of them are opening back up just yet. And then as far as the bar scene, you know, going to there get a drink, not all those locations are up and running and active, so to speak. But I can tell you this, it's much more roadway traffic out there. You know what I'm saying? There's many people that's out here now that's going places, whatever that is. I know downtown, the city is picking up the pace and everything because businesses down here were struggling. You know what I'm saying? This is considered Black Hollywood. This is considered a place where when it comes to the movie scene and everything else, it's places to go and people to see, so to speak. Let me jump right into it, man. Ryan Garcia is starting a new blog over there on YouTube. People been talking about it periodically here and there, but I don't blame him. You know, his blog is how to train like a professional fighter, a professional boxer during quarantine. And listen, I don't blame the man for starting a blog on YouTube. It hasn't been up that long. It's already at 85,000 subscribers, which, you know, for somebody on his level, his notoriety and celebrity status, and also, you know, gauging from his female fan base, you know, it's good to kind of play into that, to put a blog out there and say it's how to train like a professional boxer, but yet Ryan Garcia is pretty much going through the routine in what he's naturally able to do. I'm saying, you know, it's almost like a fitness video. He's out here, you know, remediating or going through drills that he's did over and over again, countless of times. So for him to put up a blog like that, quarantine, even though you have certain regions that's lifting, when it comes to the boxing scene, when it comes to combat sports, mixed martial arts in general, yeah, they may be on the screen, but still, when we're talking about on site, we're not there yet. It's a while before we get there. It's a while before the audience will be in attendance. It's a while before we'll be able to step on deck and witness a boxing match or anything to the sort in person until we get some type of confidence, so to speak, that we have control over this virus. Now, of course, the UFC was able to only have, you know, one full case. You had a fighter and I believe two of his trainers. The only reason I'm mentioning that is the fact that testing is active. They was able to test the amount of fighters that was there for the full fight week. And I'm pretty sure boxing is going to fall in line with that. And it's not going to change. They're going to do the testing and they're going to take it from there. But like I always say, right? How do you know once the fighters tested, they're not contracting it from somebody else after the test? Because they're not going to spend money on countless, you know, thousands of tests to test fighters 3 or 4 times a day and then wait on the results. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully the test results are expeditiously and we're able to get something back. So, you know, it's wild, man. But you know, I'll commend him, Ryan Garcia, for, you know, doing what he had to do, starting up a boxing, you know, train like a professional boxer. But like I said before, his style is not one of those styles that has proven to be overall effective like Floyd Mayweather style. Floyd Mayweather has mastered what he has trained his entire life, but he's did it in a way where he can prove that it's effective with different opponents. We all know Ryan Garcia is not even close to that. He hasn't even came close to proving that his style is effective towards multiple top tier opponents in the ring. But on the other hand, man, I salute him for coming up with train like a professional boxer. And if people want to tune in, they'll tune in. But like I said before, I'm curious to what is going to be presented. Like, is it going to be primarily on mid drills? Is he going to break it down and be patient and show him how to work the jab, combination sets, footwork? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do we look at this? Like, how do we look at this in perspective? We'll just have to wait for a couple of weeks, several weeks to play out and see what traction his videos are gathering in the comments and how people are viewing it. If they like it or dislike it. But we'll see. But that's all I got to say about Ryan Garcia, man. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Build up the fan base. If it's majority women, so be it. Women will pay to see a man that they appreciate. You know what I'm saying? But a man that they are enamored with. You know what I'm saying? A man that they are sitting up here wishing they could be with. Don't sleep on the women. Women will pay your bills when it comes down to appreciating who you are on that particular level. Real talk. Next, Bob Arum, man, top rank OG, has basically said there will be no super fights without an audience. Now, we pretty much understood this will in fact be an underlining reason that some of the names that we was hearing before this pandemic hit, that we will no longer hear for the remainder of 2020 and probably a good slice of 2021. And one big fight he did mention was Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. I told you all this a while ago, that how can we even fathom having a boxing match of that magnitude without an audience? Could you sit back and say, damn, man, are you coming over to the house? Hey, y'all come over to the house, call up your friends and all that, right? And say, man, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury fight coming on, man. It's going to be without an audience. Like, I know we have witnessed both boxing and mixed martial arts recently without an audience. But when it comes to super fights, is it even logical to even put it in your thought process? Bob Arum is saying no audience, no freaking fight of that magnitude. The super fights aren't going to happen. Now, let me ask you this. What is considered a super fight? You have Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, right? But then again, you have Teofimo Lopez and Vasily Lomachenko. Are both of those super fights? No. No. The heavyweight division has always excelled as being one of the primary divisions that fans tune into in boxing. It's always carried the divisional classes. Always the heavyweight division. When it was thriving, people was all tuned in, man. When you had those heavyweight fighters fighting each other. But then in the lighter divisions, it takes a little, I don't know, it takes somebody's interest to continue to check on the media, read up on some certain fighters, pretty much settle in to trying to find out if this a fighter or a division that I want to pay close attention to, because it takes a lot of effort for somebody to get locked in to the lighter division sometime, especially with names they're unfamiliar with. But right now, the lightweight division is one of the biggest divisions, right? But Vasily Lomachenko being a unified champion, WBO and WBA, right? Teofimo Lopez has only won a single title in his first division as a lightweight. Just because he's facing one of the top tier superstars in the sport, double gold standard Olympian Vasily Lomachenko, doesn't make it a super fight. You know what I'm saying? Even if you wanted to weigh in and say, you know what? Well, Tyson Fury was former unified champion. And he stepped in there with Deontay Wilder with no belts for Deontay Wilder's WBC strap. Why wouldn't you say Teofimo with his IBF title is not a super fight against Vasily Lomachenko, who has all this, notoriety and fan base behind him? Because it's two different sets of fighters, two different divisions, and the history behind both pairs are different when it comes to the boxing fans. It's different. It's absolutely different. Teofimo Lopez is building up his Wall Street. Absolutely. Vasily Lomachenko has a fan base, but you're not seeing him going in there selling out big ass arenas. You're not seeing, he just doesn't have it. Like Vasily Lomachenko has a unique, strange dynamic when it comes to the boxing fans. They support him, but not a lot of them are just lining up. It's according to who he's in the ring with. And I can guarantee you, when it comes to Teofimo Lopez, it's going to be sliced in many ways. Seriously. You're not going to get an entire swell of boxing fans that's just supporting Vasily Lomachenko like you did when it came to Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. You're not going to get that same wave. You're not. You're not. It's just not going to happen. Them two paired up together is not a super fight. It's a big fight that people tune into. But what I must say is that I believe Teofimo Lopez said he would take the fight without an audience. He would fight with no audience. So with that said, we totally understand that the purses will be a bit lighter than what we would expect them to be if there's an audience on deck. Absolutely. Absolutely. They would be lighter. No doubt about that. So what's next? What's next? What do we do? We sit up here and advocate to see some of these fights. It's not super fights, but once the travel restrictions start lifting, I guess we're gonna see some of these champions, man, either fighting, not so-called tune-up fights, or champion versus champion, taking lighter purses and fighting in the arena with no audience, and we'll see how it play out. But some of the huge fights, some of the big name fights like Canelo Alvarez and whoever, I don't see it happening. Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Bob Arum has said no. It's absolutely no way that fight can go down without an audience. And there's plenty other names out there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, of course, we don't have to worry about Anthony Joshua and Kubrat Pulev being an issue. That's not like there's a super fight right there. Even though it's for the unified titles, it's not like it's a super fight. So whatever they got going over there in the UK to make that fight happen, it'll go off without a hitch. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? They operating off different rules over there when it comes to gatherings, the numbers of gatherings that can be in one location at a time. And then it's even rumored that the Wilder Fury trilogy may be out of state anyway, out of country. It may be out of country. You know what I'm saying? So if that is indeed the case, it would be unfortunate. I'm not going to lie to you. It'll be unfortunate if the trilogy is out of country. But then again, following the sport for some time, we have to look back at the Thriller in Manila, the Rumble in the Jungle. We have to play that. You just can't be selfish. You just can't act like there haven't been big fights in other countries before this. Yes, it has. It's been big fights out of country, man. And we still talk about them today. So when it comes to Wild and Fury, if it's out of country, yeah, it's gonna suck. But then again, I don't take too much emotion and say, you know what, all of this or else. You know what I'm saying? It's either here in the US or it's not. It ain't no goddamn in between. Now, I think fans still will tune in to watch the fight. It's a lot that has developed with that fight. I understand what Bob Arum is saying from his point of view. There's no way possible to throw that fight in the US with no audience. You know, if it doesn't make dollars, it definitely ain't gonna make sense. It definitely ain't gonna make sense. I'm not even gonna lie to you. If it ain't gonna make dollars, definitely ain't gonna make sense to put that shit on over here with no audience, and then all those promotions or whatever is gonna have to substitute. This is a trilogy. What about Canelo? You know, we know Canelo is not gonna be out of the damn ring until the audience return. He's bound to come back and fight somebody of a big name. It's only a matter of time. You know, Spence returned to face Danny Garcia. We're still trying to find out where that fight is going to be. And once again, having two veterans in the sport, I'm curious to know if it's going to be without an audience. And if indeed it is calendared for September, it will more than likely be without a gate. More than likely. But Errol Spence and Danny Garcia isn't a super fight. And I will be talking about that in perspective, but I will be talking about Errol Spence, you know, Sean Porter and Terrence Crawford just a little bit later. But if Errol Spence is basically on tap to face Danny Garcia in September, I don't see the restrictions having any type of relief before then. You know what I'm saying? I still think we're gonna be out here waiting, anxious, you know, reading the headlines, hoping, wishing, praying. But then again, when you hear other regions fluctuating in numbers of COVID-19, and then we kind of hear the message being sent that, you know, the president say he's not going to lock down the country, it kind of puts you in a position like, shit, we really in the fight right now. Like, we really don't know what the control factor is. So since we don't know what the control factor is, and we have to be forced to make the economy open up, just imagine what it's going to be for the boxing arenas. There's a liability there. The boxing arenas isn't trying to say, fuck it, you know, we're just going to throw this fight. And then, you know, the governors all around is just going to say, okay, we can go back to the normal scheduled program of letting people into the arena. And we all know thousands of fans going into a boxing arena, you're not getting tested at the door. It's just not going to happen. You understand that. You're not getting tested at the door. Be real, man. You're not getting tested. They're not going to look, they're not going to purchase thousands of tests random fans and wait for the results to get back. Man, it's just not possible. There's no way, no how. That's why we so far off from seeing packed arenas, unless those leaders that's in charge make the command decision to say, I feel it's safe for us to go back to normalcy. Let's go. We need to do this for the economy. We need to do this for the businesses, boxing, everything else. You know what I'm saying? But then you have to see if those individuals that's at the top tier of boxing making the command decisions agree with that, and they're willing to place themselves, their fighters, and their brand and a huge sense of culpability if indeed COVID-19 has several new outbreaks while they're throwing a fight card. You definitely don't want to see that hit the media, because once we see a big fight card and the restrictions are lifted and fans are on deck, and there's a huge case, brand new cases, it's going to be all bad. And what sucks is if you decide to power something up without actually doing a full check, in which we're supposed to be doing right now. That's what we're supposed to be doing, being patient, waiting for, the economy to go through, weeks at a time, seeing what the numbers are and everything like that. But also we have individuals that's very anxious, and it's coming down to contempt. A lot of people is just going about their business and opening up. And the good thing about boxing, even if the powers that be lift the restrictions, that doesn't mean that you're going to see Top Rank, PBC, Golden Boy, all these other promotions just jumping on board and saying, let's go, full steam, full arena, open up the MGM. Nah, it's still a lot of process and protocols, man, and table talks that has to happen to see if it's beneficial to the fans, the staff, and everybody, to see if it's safe. All this shit has to be safe, man. But knowing that Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury won't happen probably this year, it sucks, because, just coming off February 22nd, it was so much suspense, intrigue, drama, the climax of the fight, everything that happened after the fight that's still being talked about to this day, about, Tyson Fury situation, Deontay Wilder situation, who was the plus and who was the minus? Was the fight fought with integrity? Those questions are still out there. So of course we want to see the trilogy. We want to see that shit soon as fucking possible. But we ain't gonna be able to do that right now, because a fight of that damn magnitude, it has to be made properly. It has to be set up so everybody is served correctly. And until then, we're just gonna be out here like, well, we totally understand it's in the good graces. You know what I'm saying? We have to be patient, because you don't want to be the one attending a big fight card and they have a huge outbreak of COVID-19, and then you find yourself in quarantine. If there's anything you don't know, people, understand this. That Q word ain't going anywhere. Quarantine isn't going anywhere. You catch it, you get in quarantine. Period. And we all know what's been going on with quarantine, people being isolated from their families. It's been bad. It's been lonely, all that shit. So imagine, going to a boxing match and you got to work Monday and you quarantine, and they're telling you, well, we don't know an exact time that you can leave. And you're saying to yourself, no, I got to go back to work. This COVID-19 doesn't work like that. So many tests have to be done, and not to mention your health insurance and everything. I mean, all that has to play a role, y'all. It's just so much to bundle up and figure out on when we'll actually be able to sit in the arena again as fans and as media. This is going to affect media also. We're going to be basically heavy online media that will have to now reach out to these fighters via telecommunications and, try to find out like that. Even with visiting the local gyms, it's a bit tedious, because everybody's like, I think some people really don't know what it means to have on a mask, because, if I don't have on a mask and you have on a mask, Why act like you're dealing with a person who has leprosy? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're not understanding why you have on a mask. Some people are doing too much. Like if I don't have on a mask and you do, don't act like what I'm touching is contagious. Like that's for that person to go back in there and wash their hands and use hand sanitizer, whatever the case may be. But some of these people really don't have a clue at what it means to have on a mask. And what if the arenas open up and they tell everyone that you will be required to wear a mask? And not only that, if you're caught with no mask on your face, you will be removed from the arena. So could you imagine trying to go in there and drink, eat, and you get comfortable and you say, you know what, forget it, man. I'm just going to take this mask off for now so I can eat, so I won't have to get, any ketchup and mustard on it or anything. And, I can feel comfortable. And then somebody come up there and say, hey, you have to leave. It's highly possible that this will go on, that, that's another problem we have to deal with. Principles, what's good, man? Who you think wins the trilogy and why? That's a good question. And I have to factor in strictly off what I've seen off the rematch. And the way I sit up here and judge any fighter, and I don't think you followed me if you know who you say you are or whatever, because so many people have ghost accounts. I'm gonna tell you like this. The way Tyson Fury performed in the last fight, it's a lot of what he was successfully able to do. I didn't think it was believable in a sense. This is what I mean. If you look at his previous opponents, Sefer Safari, Francisco Pianetta, Tom Schwartz, and Otto Wallen, no way, no how did you see a killer, no matter how much, no matter how tall Tyson Fury was, no matter how much he weighed, we didn't see that killer. Even with Otto Wallen, the last boxing match that he had before he went to the WWE, we didn't see that killer, right? We didn't see him having success in knocking down opponents and lumping them up and swelling their lip up. I believe Deontay Wilder will have enough time to improve in what he needs to. And then I also factor this in from looking at Deontay Wilder's previous fights and seeing certain technique that he used more so back then with certain fighters than he did when he was actually just knocking out fighters. So it's not like he don't know what a jab is. It's not like he don't know how to box. What he needs to just work on is his footwork and putting his punches together and keeping his distance and using all the range God blessed him with and the height, right? So to answer your question about who do I think wins, I believe Deontay Wilder can absolutely split the ropes and defeat Tyson Fury in a trilogy. And I know a lot of people, and I've talked to so many on groups and everything. I understand the level of individual that I'm dealing with when it comes to that particular subject matter. I understand when it comes to Deontay Wilder, it's a touchy subject. I know when Deontay Wilder is linked up to Tyson Fury, it's an even more sensitive subject. But the way I assess it is that I've seen Tyson Fury. I've looked at his fights previously before he stepped in there with Wilder. He was the one that was bleeding with a big ass cut on his head against Otto Wallen. So when Deontay Wilder stepped through the ropes and he doesn't look like the same active Deontay Wilder that was in the first fight, who threw more punches than Fury. Let's understand that. Deontay Wilder threw more punches than Fury in the first fight. Not so much the second fight. He didn't even look like the energy level was there. And there's a lot of things that people are calling excuses. And it's okay for you to call it excuses. But I'm just saying, did Tyson Fury look that much more improved? Or did Deontay Wilder look that much degraded? That much more degraded. And I'll take the latter. I think Deontay Wilder looked more degraded because a lot of what Tyson Fury was able to do in the rematch was the same thing he did in the first fight. He just didn't do it as much because Deontay Wilder was pressing the gas. He was in his face. Deontay Wilder was the one that was landing the knockdowns. But Tyson Fury was able to put together combinations. He was able to use his jab. Tyson Fury, we know that he can box. So when you tie that all together, right, I believe Deontay Wilder, even the way he looked, going out on his feet, the towel being thrown in the 7th round, landing that left hook, I believe he can come back in there with all the months that he's had off the train and improve and get back to the basics. I believe he can come back in there and get his title, period. Ain't no hesitation in my voice when I say that. Same shit I've been saying. I thought for sure he would go in there and retain his title against Tyson Fury in the rematch. But sometimes, fighters have situations that happen in practice or whatever the case may be, what's going on with Deontay Wilder. I don't know. I haven't interviewed him. I haven't heard from him personally. I can only gather on what I've attained from the media. But all I can say is Deontay Wilder looked more worse for wear than I've seen him before. Then I would say Tyson Fury has just transformed. He's morphed into this fighter that went in there and just dominated. You know what I'm saying? It's much different than Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua. I didn't see anything that looked so underwhelming about Anthony Joshua when he stepped in there against Andy Ruiz. But once again, Andy Ruiz wasn't a prior champion either. So I believe Deontay Wilder goes in there, especially with the extra time off. I believe he gets back to the fundamentals, polish up some of those rough edges that he had, and he has a different mindset to go back into the ring and get his title back. And I believe he's going to be have a bit more energy to drive him to get his title back from what he experienced from his fans, from those who he believed that was his fans before he stepped into the ring with Tyson Fury. You know what I'm saying? Any man to go in there and take a beating like that has heart, has that dognacious, you know what I'm saying, mentality, that grit, that no quit in him. He's going to want to go back in there and get that retribution, period. I really don't care what anybody has to say. Nobody can say Deontay Wilder's a quitter. No one can sit up here and say that it looked like he was going to quit, that he was hesitating like he was going to quit. The man was taking some punishment and he was fighting till the last freaking second when the towel attended the canvas and Kenny Bayless freaking stopped the fight. He was still throwing punches, bleeding from the ear, fat lip, knots on his head, everything else. He was still doing what a warrior's supposed to do. So that's my answer. Everything Boxing's in the house, man. Salute to you. And once again, y'all be sure to follow that. Go subscribe to that channel, man. Quality boxing content as always. And man, continue to do your thing. Principal say you think he was poisoned or tranquilized. Now, when you use that, that P word and that T word, I have to be very careful in actually responding to something that's outside my scope. You know what I'm saying? Like when you start making insinuations about something that's absolutely criminal, you have to be very careful with media. So in no way, shape, or form am I going to respond and say he was poisoned or tranquilized. That's not something that's within my integrity to sit up here and make. It ain't gonna happen. All I can tell you is that in one way, shape, or form, he didn't look like he's supposed to. He didn't look like the energetic, fighter that we saw in the first fight. Even though Deontay Wilder was missing shots in the first fight, even though Tyson Fury had success with put combinations together and being able to, you know, throw more of volume combinational sets, Deontay Wilder still did just about the same thing. He threw his right hand a lot, and he missed, in my opinion, he missed more in the first fight because we know it went 12 rounds, but he missed more, in my opinion, because he was headhunting earlier. And in the interim, when you got the CompuBox numbers, he threw more punches than Tyson Fury. But yet he missed a lot with his power punches. In the rematch, it was a shorter fight. And also Tyson Fury had much more success in leaning on him, degrading, fatiguing him, doing anything possible to make the fight a dirty, grimy fight to break down Deontay Wilder, who already looked fucked up. I'm not gonna lie. He already looked like he wasn't in the best of health or energy or whatever's going on with him. But tranquilized, that is what I would call an exacerbated word to use in this particular case. Poison, that's a very strict word that is no way, shape, or form I can apply and speak on, because for one, I wasn't there taking blood. I don't know what was going on in his camp. I don't know what was in the bottles of water. For me to make that assumption would be outright wrong. You know what I'm saying? No integrity. Everything boxes, I appreciate it. No doubt, man. No doubt. But that's my take, on Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. The speculations is there, of course. I still think the glove situation with Tyson Fury was a bit funny. You know what I'm saying? I just think it was a lot that had to do with that situation that was off script from the normal regulations that's supposed to happen with a fighter wearing gloves the proper way in the ring. For whatever reason, I'm not the boxer, but I'm pretty sure there are some fighters. In fact, I've been around the sport long enough. There are, in fact, trainers, coaches, and fighters who are totally understanding of dirty tactics to use to gain an advantage. And I know Panama Lewis come up a lot, and the only thing, the only fight people refer him to is Billy Collins. But guess what? Once again, I mean, my depth kind of Rolodex just a little bit further. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't the only fight where he was accused. You know what I'm saying? Look at the Aaron Pryor fight. Arguello. Look at that fight. He asked for the special water, the same shit Jermell Charlo was talking about when he was fighting. I mean, Tony Harrison was talking about Jermell Charlo. I'm tying that shit together, not to say it actually happened, but I'm just tying it together as far as history. Panama Lewis, when Aaron Pryor stepped up lightweight to challenge Alexis Arguello, and Aaron Pryor was doing pretty damn good. So in the latter rounds, it was said that Panama Lewis asked for the other bottle. And inside that bottle could have been anything. You know what I'm saying? It could have been anything to pick him up, a stimulant, anything to get his, give him that extra needed boost that he had. And he came back out and he seemed like a whole new fighter. And Panama Lewis was the one that was in his corner. So I say all this to say, you think it still ain't going on to this day that trainers don't know how to get over? They're not clever enough to try to gain an advantage? Shit, this is boxing. I don't care if you come from Crunk Gym or not. Any gym. If they've been getting away with certain tactics and they're good at what they do, God damn it, they're going to keep doing it. Even when Tony Harrison accused Jermell Charlo of them of drinking out of a Gatorade bottle, Derrick James never touched that damn Gatorade bottle. So you can make all your assumptions all you want, but it's hard to kind of prove culpability on somebody, especially a water bottle, when they leave the arena and it's not talked about right then and there. It's no way to prove that shit. But once again, I'm marrying them up together because in history, all people want to talk about is commissions and all this other shit. Commissions been around for the longest time, and you still had people cheat. You had Panama Lewis goddamn take out the cushion of the gloves with Louis Resto and went in there and gave Billy Collins a beating, messed up the man's eyes. That was his last fight, sent the man in depression, domestic abuse, everything else, and he ended up dying in a car accident. And if it wasn't from his dad shaking the hand of Louise, he would have got away scotch-free. It was commissions back then. Not everybody's going to bite an ear off to try to gain the advantage. It's just not going to happen, people. Principal said, I can tell something was wrong before the first bell. Wilder said he felt like a zombie. Did you see when Fury denied that bottle water in the post-fight interview when he seen who it was coming from? Look, I've seen a lot and I've spoken about a lot that was going on in that fight. And, you know, in boxing, man, it's almost like a magic show. Because, look, the reason why I say that is some of the things you see, you look at them as if they're real, but they come off as an illusion. Because when people are shown certain things that are blatant, they don't want to accept the fact that that's what it is. They don't even want to accept the fact that somebody can wear their glove different in a fight. They just want to talk about the excuses. They don't want to talk about the fact that the trainer would say, use the left hand, break them down with the left hand. Now, of course, in that language, it doesn't really deter away from what we hear in the sport of boxing. Okay, break them down with the left hand. Okay, that left hand for an orthodox fighter might be the jab, right? You know what I'm saying? Or if you got a freaking southpaw, the left hand might be the hook to the body, might be, a power or whatever the goddamn combination set is. It's language that blends in with boxing. So it's hard to sit up here and say, well, they was trying to cheat. It's hard to say. Shit with the water bottle. Tyson Fury getting caught in the hammer fight with his fucked up gloves and up there scratching his head like a little kid in a cookie jar. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when humanistically, when you respond like that, it's been proven in certain instances that it's saying that you're guilty of something. Like, we respond differently in situations where we blatantly know we was trying to get over. We was trying to be mischievous, right? If you look at Tyson Fury when the referee checked his glove out, the look that he had on his face was a bit disgusting. And like you said, Deontay Wilder split the ropes. He said he felt like a zombie. Okay. So let's use the analogy of a zombie. We can only assume what he was saying is slow motion, right? Lethargic, tired, fatigued, groggled. All of that shit he was feeling. Because I ain't never seen a zombie heavyweight champion. I ain't never seen a zombie super flyweight champion. Everything zombie to me is a motherfucker walking around here goofy, all slow, dragging his feet, and up to no good. That's what I know from a zombie. I ain't never had a fighter. I ain't never seen a fighter get on the mic and say, and they ask, how you feel tonight? Yeah, the superb performance. Talk on it. Well, I just want to let everybody know, my fans and everything, I felt like a zombie tonight. I was on my zombie mode. I ain't gonna lie. I felt like a zombie tonight. Well, what do you mean by you felt like a zombie? Just what I said. Like I felt like a zombie tonight. Like everything that I was doing was in slow motion, but somehow I was landing. Ain't nobody trying to come up with some shit like that. So if Deontay Wilder wasn't in the best of health, he wasn't 150%. He looked different. And then people want to run off and talk about the uniform, knowing that ain't nowhere possibly true. But you have to look at it, the aftermath. You have to look at what was going on after the fight. Immediately after Kenny Bayless stopped the fight, what happened? He went over to Mark Breland and say, why the fuck you do that? Something. Lip reading. I'm just saying lip reading, right? And Mark Breland's up there trying to explain. And, both with the adrenaline's going, Deontay and Mark Breland knowing that he has just basically been a part of consummating an outcome for a team member. And we all know who Mark Breland is, Olympian, former world champion. We all know who that is. But you have just sealed the decision of someone who team you were on that was a part of history too. Deontay Wilder was going there for his 11th defense. Mark Breland threw the towel. So Deontay Wilder was coherent enough to go over there and immediately start asking Mark Breland, why did he do that? Now, for everybody who wants to ignore that, cool. But just like Principal just said about the things he saw, about the water bottle, Deontay saying he was a zombie, we also have to look at the fact of him coherently conversing to Mark Breland, asking him why. He wasn't stumbling all over to the opposite corner. And then not only that, right? When you saw him sitting on the stool and the camera's still on him, he wasn't sitting up there losing his fucking mind like Oliver McCall. It wasn't the post-fight when Rock Newman. It wasn't when Rock Newman came up and we saw somebody goddamn grab what's his name that was fighting Riddick Bowe and pull him over the top rope. We didn't see all that damn chaos. All we seen is the champ shaking his head, getting his glove removed. We saw Tyson Fury over there doing what he was doing. We just didn't see EMT rushing into the ring if Deontay Wilder was just out of it, trying to goddamn put an IV in his arm and take him out the ring like they was doing Maxim Dedashev. I just didn't get that vibe from Deontay Wilder. Even though he had took extreme amount of punishment, I didn't get that vibe from him like I got from Maxim Dedashev. What I got from Dedashev and looking at that fight was a guy who was going off pure adrenaline and being dazed at the same time, like disorientated. One thing I can say about Deontay Wilder, he seemed conscious. He seemed aware. He still seemed vigilant, even though he had taken an extensive amount of punishment. When you bleed from the ear and you have a fat lip and you've been down twice in a fight, you have lumps on the back of your head, of course you're going to feel some type of way about it. You're in the heavyweight division. And Tyson Fury has had success in making Deontay Wilder fight, and he has success in punishing the champ. But in no time did I see, once the bell rung in the 7th round, that Deontay was stumbling back to the ropes. He was slurring his speech. He was up there looking like he didn't know where he was. No, he was up there conversing with Mark. And rightfully so. He wanted to know, what was going on. Why the towel? Why you throw the towel in, man? And for when I stand, the code was don't throw the towel in. Shit. I don't give a fuck who out there goddamn screaming save our champ and goddamn he's being punished. If the code inside the gym and the fighter says don't throw in the motherfucking towel and he'd rather go out on the shield, it's not like he's the first person we ever heard say that. It's been plenty of fighters say, I want to go out on my shield. When they put that quote up, they don't say Deontay Wilder beneath it. He wasn't the first one to say, I want to go out on my shield. Absolutely not. That's real talk. But I do believe Deontay has enough still left, even on the front door, 35 years old. He still has enough to go in here with all the time he has remaining. You know what I'm saying? Before he even fights, during this COVID-19, all these months ahead. Even look, we're not gonna know. I'm gonna be honest. We're not gonna truly know who's in the camp. You know, he said he had to get rid of some snakes. We all know how the shovel works. We all know how the shovel works when you're getting rid of snakes, god damn it. So he had to get rid of some snakes. And plus, you know, we heard some banter online about who potentially may come in there. So he said he was open to hearing George Foreman. You know, so we don't know if George Foreman is going to help. You know what I'm saying? We just don't know that. But we do understand it's boxing and certain things Deontay Wilder can improve heading into the trilogy with Tyson Fury. So he comes in there working on some, you know, whatever he has to smooth out and polish up in training camp, and then 100% healthy, he's going to be a problem for Tyson Fury in the best way. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be a problem for Tyson Fury in the best way. Just look at what's going on with Evander Holyfield. Who do you see training him? Evander Holyfield, man, see Antonio Tarver in this motherfucker. Antonio Tarver helping the champ train. Former champ himself. We see Klitschko helping Evander Holyfield train. I mean, come on, man. You think Deontay is not going to get some people to help him get ready? Look, we're only in May. And you're telling me we go out 2020? We close this bitch out and we haven't seen Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. You think all those months we're not going to see a better, rejuvenated, technically improved Deontay Wilder? Yeah, hell yeah, it's possible. This is for all the glory right here, goddammit. This is for all the glory. This is for everything. Deontay Wilder goes in there and get his belt back. It would change boxing in a whole different perspective, whether people want to look at it in that way or not. You can believe what I'm saying. You don't. But I'm telling you, Deontay Wilder goes in there and get his belt back. It's going to change the landscape of boxing in many ways. Because right now, we totally understand that Anthony Joshua is over behind the perimeter of protection. So most hardcore fans understand that more than likely, Joshua will go in there and defeat Kubrat Pulev, which has made it perfectly clear that he doesn't plan on laying down for Joshua, and he planned on going in there defeating him. We don't fucking know. We don't know what's going to happen with Kubrat, okay? But check this out. Wilder gets his belt back. Joshua will have no other recourse except to fight for the unified titles of heavyweight division. Now, one or two things are going to happen. Either one, the fight's going to be made for undisputed, and there's going to be a lot of upset individuals. There's going to be people out there that's just full of vitriol, man. They're going to be freaking angry. They're going to take to social media to denigrate the process, because really what they want is Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua right now. But Deontay Wilder can go up here and shake up everything. He get his fucking belt back. He waits for the damn Kubrat Joshua fight to be over. Joshua keeps his titles. Now he has no other recourse except to face Deontay Wilder. And we all know damn well that Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua potentially could be bigger than Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. Seriously, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. And you can say, well, how can they it be bigger than that? I'm telling you the history, how people are sitting up here enamored and protecting Anthony Joshua over there. The one person they don't want Joshua to face is Deontay Wilder. They was more than happy for Tyson to do the cleanup work. When Tyson Fury was able to get the WBC belt, it's a lot of people exhaled. They was at home toasting, drinking the finest wine, goddamn sitting up here laughing and joking. Yes, now we get to see a UK affair. We get to see Tyson Fury face Anthony Joshua. Yes, the history is all ours. But check this out, though. Like I said, Deontay Wilder get his belt back. What is it going to be next? Eddie Hearn want to do the old shit? Well, guess what? When you know, Dillian White, he's the mandatory. So I say it like this. Let's be fair. Put Dillian White, Deontay Wilder. I'm telling you, man, he will put that shit. It will be another obstacle not to face Anthony Joshua. Even with Deontay Wilder having one loss. 42-1, 41 knockouts, right? Even with one loss, people will still be skeptical to see Anthony Joshua step in there with Deontay Wilder. Because Deontay Wilder will fight Joshua different. Joshua isn't Tyson Fury. So the entire fight will be different. Anthony Joshua isn't a knockout artist. Anthony Joshua doesn't punch harder than Deontay Wilder. Anthony Joshua doesn't have the heart of Wilder, and he definitely doesn't have the chin. He doesn't have the chin, y'all. Y'all know that. Y'all might not want to agree with me, but y'all know that. Principals say Fury cheated so many different ways. I hope Wilder decapitate him in the trilogy, bro. I understand where you're coming from, man. I understand where you're coming from. What my biggest wish for, if we're talking about wishing, I don't wish too much. I just think wish is just something dealing with love. But what I want to happen is Deontay Wilder, go back to the trenches, man. Put that armor on, go to work, understanding that last fight is always going to be on the front side of his thought process. He's tough enough. He's still durable enough to go and train. He has all these months. It's a blessing. I'm telling you, this pandemic is a blessing in disguise for Deontay. So he goes in there, work on what he needs to, bring in whoever he chooses to in the camp, because I know he's going to bring in the right people. Get that work, go back, get his title, and it's going to be no more talking. It's going to be no more motherfucking talking. Because what's next? You going to try to put Dillian White up there as a mandatory? Well, in order for him to face Joshua, he has to face Dillian. No. You know who the fuck we want. We want Joshua. Joshua, the same person that sit up here saying, Tyson Fury, if you want me to help you train for goddamn Deontay Wilder, please. No, it ain't no more motherfucking running now. Wilder get his belt back. Joshua defeat Kubrat. We got one of the biggest fights. Now, I believe it would do better numbers, in my opinion, than Tyson Fury, because the UK audience embrace Anthony Joshua more than they do Tyson Fury. Now, consensus is, yeah, Tyson Fury, Gypsy, and all that. He still had the fans there partially from over there because he was facing Deontay Wilder. So they made it a UK, American, USA type of deal. But even in the US, motherfuckers was booing the American champ. So it's almost like Deontay Wilder was behind enemy lines to begin with. But when it comes to Anthony Joshua, though, this is different. The whole skin complexion changes. Y'all know what the fuck I'm talking about. Your whole complexion changes. We're not talking about Tyson Fury, a white Londoner. white Brit. We're not talking about that. Deontay Wilder, Southern Alabama, African black. We're not talking about that. We're talking about African Nigerian. We're talking about two people who are semi-shaded the same. So now what the fans are going to do? What the fans are going to do? You're going to get somewhat the same with motherfuckers who are enamored with Anthony Joshua from the UK, but it's not going to be as easy as it was when Tyson Fury was over here. Because I'm going to tell you, a lot of people over here in the US like Tyson Fury more than they like Anthony Joshua. But the default isn't going to be, oh, we don't have Tyson Fury, let's cheer for Anthony Joshua. No. You're going to get some of the fake ass haters to turn around and say, you know what? Man, fuck Anthony Joshua, man. I'm gonna goddamn root for Deontay Wilder this time. I'm gonna root for Deontay this time. That's what the fuck is gonna happen. That's how it always is. You know how I know this shit? Because look at the fight Deontay Wilder had with Luis Ortiz. You didn't have a separation in fans cheering for Deontay Wilder. We're talking about a Cuban. People cheering for Deontay Wilder. What happened when he fought Bermane Stiverne? People was cheering for Wilder. Right or wrong? People were cheering for Wilder when the shade was made. When the complexion was in a different direction, then Wilder was the default. Nah, we ain't cheering for him. We like Fury. Oh, he's a funny guy. He's a funny man. We like everything he says. He just say some outlandish shit all the time. He calls all the fighters a dosser, a bum. When it came down to Tyson Fury, a lot of motherfuckers had already shown their true colors when they was at the Staples Center, when they was cheering for Fury then. Because Fury has found out how gullible the U.S. boxing community is. He's found out. You're talking about a man who was out of the sport and should have been basically ruled a no contest when he won the titles because he popped positive for drugs and peds. He should have been punished. And his career box rec should have reflected such, but it didn't. So now he's able to return from being goddamn 500 pounds or whatever he weighed. And he gets a PR team to re-enter the presence of the boxing fans to say he had a mental illness. And then what's more fucked up, people that's tuned in, listening to this shit, right? I remember reading about Tyson Fury back then when he left the sport. And that shit wasn't on Wiki. Not until this motherfucker returned, it all of a sudden says that he left the sport due to mental illness. We all know Wiki can be revised at any time. We all know what the fuck that's about. This cat came back and started talking about a mental illness and then still go in there and cheat. So you trying to tell me you're mentally ill, but yet you're still competent enough to go cheat? The only reference we seeing with your gloves is in both of your fights with Wilder. But you know what? I said my case on that, man. I said my case on what I thought. Deontay Wilder had lumps in his head. How the fuck that happened? Were they fighting on top of gravel? When Deontay Wilder got knocked down, I don't remember his head bouncing off the canvas. You know what I'm saying? Unless somebody was throwing roll of quarters from the audience. Motherfucker was taking ice out their cup and throwing it up in the ring or something. I don't remember. How can you have knots on your head just from a 7-round fight, 2 knockdowns, and just because Tyson Fury was able to land some shots and he never been considered a power puncher? How in the last 4 fights, the last 5 fights, before stepping in there for a rematch. And one of those fights, including Deontay Wilder, who laid you out in the 12th round. How in the hell, if you wasn't running through those opponents with pure, unadulterated, goddamn destruction, how the fuck were you able to go in here in this rematch and just look like you had morphed into this superhuman, like you was this destructive power puncher, all because Sugar Hill was in your corner? Man, you ain't convinced me of that shit. You will never convince me of that. It doesn't matter you had Sugar Hill Stewart, and when they ask him, well, what about the situation where the cameras went out back there? The glove situation with Tyson Fury. What's your take on that, Sugar Hill? The glove situation where it looks like his glove. Well, the commission was back there when he was gloving up. The commission was back there. He released himself from any type of response that he can be held accountable for. He's saying, well, the commission was back there. That's basically saying, fuck you. I ain't giving you shit. He paid me to train him. That's all I'm talking about. All the other shit I know about, that's not for me to talk on. That's pretty much the answer he gave. Vague, empty, and lacking content. That's what Sugar Hill gave when asked about the glove situation with Tyson Fury. So people need to stop acting like it didn't fucking happen. It happened. That shit happened. Deontay Wilder was on the receiving end of it. It's the hurt business. He understands what it's about. He survived it with a lot of controversy behind it. But a blessing in disguise, in my opinion, is that we got the best Tyson Fury and we can get a better Deontay Wilder. So the Deontay Wilder that wasn't 100% fatigued, groggled, zombie-esque, if he was to come back in there in the trilogy and you trying to tell me he went 7 rounds like that, but yet bring him back, better spirit, better trained, different energy level, it's not going to be a different fight. Absolutely, it's going to be a different fight. 12 rounds, it's going to be different. And you know what? It might not even go 12 rounds. And I ain't talking about a replay of the rematch either. It might not even go 12 rounds. Because I'm going to tell you what is fact. Deontay Wilder cannot have 41 knockouts and all of a sudden that power disappears. One of the last thing to go. You know what I'm saying? Even George Foreman came back at 45 and still was able to break down Michael Moore with his power punches at 45 years old. So therefore, Deontay Wilder, you trying to tell me coming off destruction of Luis Ortiz, his power just evaporated? It's no longer there. It's there. And you know what's going to happen? It's going to revisit. It's going to revisit old times. Believe that. Seriously. But you know, I'm going to be honest. I really want to see Deontay shake up the world, become 2-time heavyweight champion. Then Joshua's forced to have a heavyweight intervention and face Deontay Wilder. No questions asked. There's no, Eddie Hearns inserting Dillian White into the equation like he attempted to do earlier. Dillian White got out there acting like a clown and saying, let's go, Deontay, where you at? Nobody was believing that shit. Nobody bid on it. No one was goddamn sitting up there salivating on that. Nobody. Eddie Hearns just used Dillian White because he wanted to protect Joshua. And, the real fight fans understand Joshua's been extremely protected. They fucked up and picked the wrong Mexican. He was defeated. And then the paycheck was right for the second go around in Saudi Arabia. And Andy Ruiz didn't take it serious because the paycheck was going to be nice, exactly what Hearns didn't want it. Came back into the fray, no intensity, totally different than the first go around. Didn't even try to put together his technical skill set like we know him to have. We know Andy Ruiz can box the same way he did Joshua in the first fight. And you know what? When somebody come in there overweight, talking about he let the stardom and the money get to him and all that, hell no. What you did, Andy Ruiz, what you did was pretty much emulate Charles Martin. That's exactly what you did. You cashed out, homie. You cashed out. That's what you did. Charles Martin got the biggest paycheck of his career, and they was able to get that IBF strap off of him. Absolutely. But you can actually say that you lost it because you just let Anthony Joshua run around the ring and cross the finish line and you lose the title. But yet you was able to collect another paycheck. Tell me this, Andy Ruiz. How the fuck can you be Mexican? The first Mexican champion. And I know I had to correct some people on this. They talking about Andy Ruiz wasn't the first Mexican champion. John Ruiz was. I said, John Ruiz? Wasn't that guy Puerto Rican? Do you know Puerto Ricans are... Man, you better watch your goddamn mouth. You say it in the wrong motherfucking company, you might find yourself getting stomped out outside. Like, what are you talking about? Andy Ruiz was first Mexican heavyweight champion. How in the fuck do you turn around and say you don't want to be glorified by Mexico, who basically put boxing on the forefront and they glorify their fighters? Why wouldn't you want to be in that conversation? Because right now your name is in the conversation of Buster Douglas in the U.S. But the reason why Buster Douglas get the respect, the only reason why Buster Douglas is going to get that respect because he knocked out Mike Tyson. It's a difference when you're the first one through the door in the U.S. But guess what? You was the first one through the door with Anthony Joshua. You came back to the crime scene and you wasn't the same person you was the first time. That's what's fucked up about Andy Ruiz. Buster Douglas didn't have no time to come back to the crime scene because he was on a whole different level of energy from losing his mom and everything else that happened. But guess what? They will respect him over here just a little bit more than Andy Ruiz will get respected over there in Mexico for coming over there like he had just left a Snicker buffet. He's not going to get any respect over there for being the first Mexican heavyweight and going in here and losing his belts and just letting Joshua walk around the ring and goddamn give a boring ass fight in Saudi Arabia after everybody done paid their goddamn money to go over there. But boxing on the horizon can do big things, people, believe me. If Deontay Wilder can will indeed get his WBC strap back and force a match with Joshua, the match in itself, in my opinion, would just change a lot about the heavyweight division, being that so many people speak of Joshua as if he's this great heavyweight, but know damn well what would happen if he stepped in the ring with Deontay Wilder. And the good thing about Joshua, he has the protection of Eddie Hearns. He has that shit. But when it comes down to absolutely no options left, and those two have to fight, You can only imagine what the buildup is going to be. You only imagine what 2018 is going to come full circle for Deontay Wilder and say, motherfucker, yeah. You remember when y'all was up there trying to goddamn feed me from a dog tray? That 12 million, like that's 12 million without taxes. Y'all remember that shit, right? And then you remember, you're saying we're gonna pay him exponentially more instead of 12 million. We're gonna basically pay him 15 million. Yes, indeed. And so that's more than he ever made in his boxing career. And I think it's fair. Don't you, Joshua? Yeah, Eddie, you know daddy. Daddy, you know daddy. Yes, daddy, that's more than fair. Yeah, so we're gonna get Deontay Wilder flat fee. So Eddie Hearns, let me ask you this: why the flat fee though? If you didn't request a flat fee with Vladimir Klitschko, Carlos Takam, Joseph Parker. I mean, World Combat Sports just want to know, like, Eddie, why wasn't that the topic of discussion when other fighters have faced Anthony Joshua? No flat fee. We just thought at the moment, Deontay Wilder was a prime target. You know what I'm saying? Prime target. And plus, I'm gonna be real with you. Behind closed doors, Anthony Joshua was scared shitless. And be honest, straight bullocks. He's a wanker. He was crying, shedding tears. You say, no Wilder, no bronze bomber. No way. I just don't want to step in there and face that guy from Alabama. I know I joke around about it a lot out here in the media, but let me be honest. I have to sit up here and babysit Anthony, AJ. He's not the most, he's not rap tight, especially when he hears the name Deontay Wilder. So I had to take all this time to protect him. Now, somehow, some way, Deontay has regained his title, and we don't have nowhere else to go. And just between me and you, World Combat Sports, I don't think the fight's going to happen. I think we're going to go out here and search for some mandaries. Yeah, some mandaries. I mean, mandatories. Once we get the mandatories in place, that can prolong us a little bit more time so Joshua can actually lose one of his belts so we won't have to face Deontay Wilder. And that's the plan. Or we're keeping our fingers crossed that some new COVID-19 cases come up in the UK. So we won't be able to leave. And that'll keep us from traveling to the US to get that ass whooping. So there you go. That's the whole plan of attack. And I'm hoping that Joshua is able to ride off into the sunset and never face Deontay Wilder. And that's all honesty. And this is coming from Eddie Hearns. I've been in the game, me and my father, for quite some time, and I just don't want to put all his business out here. But yeah, AJ, he's scared shitless. I'm be honest. You know what I mean? I mean, he's absolutely don't want no part of the bronze bomber. He's antagonizing Deontay Wilder by asking to help Tyson Fury train for the fight. But really, it's nothing that AJ could do to help Tyson Fury. Nothing. He's scared shitless. He's a scared little pop. He's just a big boy around big people. And I'm here to make sure his fans continue to believe he's one of the best heavyweights in the world. Even though, I'm going to be honest, he's scared shitless. But anyway, AJ too scared to fight Wilder though. Shaking my head. Yeah, man, he's scared, man. I'm telling you. Sometimes, man, it's so easy to know who AJ is. For them to do all that shit with the flat fee and the request of 50 million, turn it down because you had a bum ass 2-fight Wembley deal that they made a big deal out of. He went in there September 22nd and faced Alexander Povetkin with nobody really even what? That shit didn't sell out. And then April 13th come around, and that shit just came and went. And then the fledgling the zone deal, which they made mention, oh, $1 billion the zone deal. Well, what they didn't say to the gullible fans out here was that it was contingent every 2 years or something like that. It was contingent. It wasn't just, oh, it's a $1 billion deal and Eddie Hearns is rich. You know what I'm saying? We all know what happened. And the only thing Deontay Wilder wanted, if they was coming off the 50 mil, is for the fight to be in the US and the fight to be in 2018 and no rematch. That was the clause. And you think Joshua was gonna take that shit? Hell no. Y'all done lost y'all motherfucking mind. Everybody want to say, Deontay, they didn't want to sign the contract and all that shit. But Deontay, he was willing to go over to the UK to fight that dude. I mean, come on, man. Y'all can't keep acting like he was running scared and shit. You know what I'm saying? They was going through the negotiation process trying to adhere and cater to get the fight made for the unified titles. But yeah, when you make it hard for somebody to say, you know what, we're going to feed you dog scraps. We're going to say we're going to give you $12 million flat fee before taxes, and you got people to pay to one of the biggest matches in your life. That's what you call civility. You're going in here performing maximum labor for minimal revenue, for minimum wages. That's what that is right there. You're going in there for the biggest fight of your career for minimum wages, when the fight could potentially gross easily over 50, 60 million. You want to send Deontay Wilder in there with 12 million flat fee. Now, we all know what that is. That's fucking bullshit. That's what it is. It's selfish. It's disrespectful, degrading, and everything else that goes along with the motherfuckers in here talking about, you know what? We want to get paid our worth. Well, shit. Peel back your thinking caps back to when they was trying to send a man in there for the unified title match, 12 million flat fee, and say, oh, it's the most he ever made in his career. You know what I mean? Come on now. Crimson said he probably retired before he had that fight. Yeah, man. Joshua has a lot of options over there in the UK if he chose to retreat or abort the mission. He has a lot of options. See, over there in the UK, he can get away with retiring without facing Deontay Wilder, because probably a lot of UK people over there don't like Deontay Wilder, and some do. It's not like Deontay haven't been over there to the UK before, but I'm saying overall, a larger percent of the masses would definitely like Joshua. And, Joshua would probably get out over there without having a big fight with Wilder and still get treated with love in the streets because he's a two-time unified heavyweight champion. It goes without saying. It goes without saying. Two-time unified heavyweight champion, people are going to look at that. Oh, man, that's Joshua. And then over here, you have Deontay Wilder, who was in the company of Ali, a man who was going on his 11th defense, reigned as champion over 5 years, right? Started the sport late. And you get dumbass U.S. fans booing him for no apparent reason. You booing the man for no reason. Like, this is the time where we should see a bit of separation, when the U.S. should bond together and cheer for their American champ, especially in the heavyweight division, a division that carries boxing, right? But no, we didn't hear that shit. And we got a preamble when we was in California. We motherfucking did. We got a preamble. That preamble at the Staples Center said everything. When y'all allowed that motherfucker to walk out in the red, white, and blue, emulating Apollo Creed, and y'all up there doing the same thing I was doing that I do all the time. I've been doing for ever and a day. You brought your UK accent on deck. You from the UK? Oh, absolutely. I love it. I'm just over here in California. I bought some property over here about maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I go back and forth, but mostly, I stay over here, and my kids in college and everything else. And yeah, but really, where my heart's at. By the way, you want to go down to the local pub after this fight is over with, and let's have a drink or two. Do you mind? Okay. I mean, come on, man. Come on. They allowed Tyson Fury to put on a show at the Staples Center. What do you think it was going to be at the MGM? How can you sit up here? And I'm asking this in all respect, genuine as I can possibly be. How can you have an American champ who has never popped positive and lost his titles, who has never been banned or suspended for drug use, who has not at no point in time had an individual male type come out of woodworks named Mr. Carefoot and accuse Deontay Wilder of lying about consuming uncastrated wild boar meat. Have we ever had a champion go through such? Have we ever had an American champion bite off an ear named Deontay Wilder? Has we ever had a heavyweight champ go to prison named Deontay Wilder? Have we seen Deontay Wilder fighting in the streets? Have we seen Deontay Wilder come back from suspension and claim he was mentally ill, and we should show sympathy for him and everything else that goes along with it? Have the U.S. champ ever been a part of such a dramatic exit and entry? I mean, come on, man. It's simple shit here. We passed a critical period of learning as a kid. We ain't 4 and 5 years old, motherfucker. When it comes down to this shit right here, why the fuck y'all was up there booing the man just because y'all was enamored with neighboring fighters coming over here with an accent? How the fuck can you do that to yourself? The man ain't did shit. He ain't been locked up. I know a lot of y'all was saying, oh, he's a crack baby and all that. When has he tested positive for crack, dog? When has he tested positive for Pez? When did you see him up here complain about losing? The man got punished. He took his punishment like a man, and he still wasn't out here running through the streets, drunk in the parking lot. You didn't see that shit? Motherfucker out on the damn water. To my fuck everybody. I lost tonight. I ain't going back. So what's the culpability here? What was all that shit about, though? Now that you got what you want, he lost the title. What was all that shit about, though? I'm not going to keep it long. I'm just saying, what was all that about? What was it about? Why y'all fuck him over like that? Y'all just say, fuck him. We don't care if he U.S. or not, man. The man could have been prior military, and y'all still would have said, fuck him. I'm just saying. Y'all try to sit up here and don't want to hear shit else about the champ because y'all feel it's easy to quiet and silence a motherfucker, right? But yet, you don't want to answer the question outside of you saying how fundamentally fragmented he is and he lacks all these dang boxing technique and skills and balance. But when it gets to the morals and principles of treating somebody with dignity, where the fuck was that shit when it came down to him really stepping up and fighting a neighboring fighter, facing a neighboring fighter, former champion? What happened in California? The shit was different because in California, the MGM, the shit was different energy for Deontay Wilder. But each time he faced Luis Ortiz, oh, y'all was cheering for Deontay Wilder. The crowd was roaring. Y'all motherfuckers was loud as shit. When he knocked the shit out of Romain Stavern on the damn bottom rope, snoring, the crowd was up, jumping, clicking their heels. Oh shit, thank you. I'm about to go cash out right now. Thank you for that paycheck, Wilder. Appreciate it, Bronze Bomber. Motherfucker was screaming. But then when it came to Fury, boo, boo, boo. And then all these motherfuckers come out the woodwork. I don't know. You know, the betting odds is this. You didn't get people up here just sticking to the guns, man. Nobody, hey, none of y'all can't say I didn't. We didn't get motherfuckers sticking to the guns and saying, you know, I got Wilder. Now they want to say, well, Fury, I know he went down in the 12th round in the first fight, but he got Sugar Hill in his corner right now. He fired Ben Davison. I don't know. Well, Wilder might be in trouble. We don't think he can do it. Man, get the fuck out of here, y'all. Y'all gave up on him. Y'all was never on his fucking side. Those of you fans that choose to boo him in the U.S., y'all was never on his side, man. It's fucking unsat. It's fucked up. That's all I got to say on it. It's fucked up. Prince will say he probably retired before he had to fight. DW, they don't hear you though. Yeah, everything boxing, man. They ain't gonna hear, and they probably don't care. But you know, when you got your own people that always want to sit up here and glorify Mike Tyson for when he was up here, but yet they don't want to look through his record. Everybody has discrepancies in their record. You know what I'm saying? Even when they start off boxing, everybody's boxing record is different when they start off. But Mike Tyson, though he was a sight to behold, he absolutely was. He was a menace in the ring. People glorify him back then differently than they do Deontay Wilder. But Deontay Wilder has less to account for when it comes to doing things that doesn't fit being the good guy. You know what I'm saying? You got a person that's up here trying to be the good guy, like Muhammad Ali, you know, not to mirror Deontay Wilder up to Muhammad Ali, but, you know, he's up here trying to be the people's champ. He's up here goddamn trying to do what's right for the sport. Keep a clean nose, as they call it. You know, let people know, yeah, I'm going to walk through public like this with my lady. Yes, I earned it. You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with that? Instead of saying, God damn, man, I didn't know Deontay was going to get 20 years. Fuck. But he can get out in 5 or 6 for good behavior. Or if this go, you ain't never had to go through that shit. Man, I can't believe he popped positive for 3 banned substance. 3? We ain't never had to hear that for Deontay Wilder, y'all. He didn't have to go through what Jarrell Miller did. So why y'all fuck him over like that, though? Y'all must not be real boxing fans. Y'all might just be pure, unadulterated haters. Because you got to be mad individuals that just sit up here and fuck over a man like that that's pretty clean when it compares to a sport of boxing that you can get people that straight out of the pen. You can get them straight out of county jail. You can get them with no high school education. You can get them with a record. Boxing does not discriminate. Anybody can come in here and train and make a wealthy living by learning how to fight. One of the most genius sports that's been around for the test of time. So that's all I'm trying to tell you. That's all I'm trying to tell you. How can you look at somebody that didn't even fuck up and you treat him as if he did? Like he got multiple records, like his goddamn list is long, like he got a rap sheet, like he up there beating his family. Individual who goddamn started boxing because his daughter had spinal. All that shit, right? Collect all that shit together, right? All that shit. And compare it to some of the people that's glorified in the past and in the present. And you wonder why motherfuckers hate him as much as they do. And then you get people that sit up here and see certain individuals supporting the champ. And then they act like you got to get permission to support the champ. You know what I'm saying? Deontay, your boy. I don't know how many times I heard that shit. Deontay, my boy. Ain't nobody my boy unless I break bread over their house. You know what I'm saying? From where I'm from. But just because you're supporting the black heavyweight champ at the time, it's like, Deontay's your boy. Everybody who's supporting him, oh, I know that's your boy. But when it comes to Fury, oh man, he's the best heavyweight in the sport. So I can pretty much understand why you choose to support him. I declare, you have made the best choice in your boxing career. You're supporting Tyson, Gypsy King Fury. You should pat yourself on the back. But I'm going to tell you, Anthony Joshua come a close second. What's going on, Denise Wars? What's good? What's good? Thanks for dropping in. Haven't seen you in a minute. Hope everything is well your way. Hope y'all surviving out there. Yeah, man. Yeah, we do know what it's about, man. We do know what that shit's about. Real talk. I'm moving on to Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter. Because when it comes to Deontay Wilder and against the world, it's only so much I can say. But I just know, and I'll say it over and over again, for a champion that gave you everything you look for in a black champion, right? Without coming here acting an absolute fool in public and treating his family like shit, he did what the fuck he was supposed to do. I don't care who you are. I don't need a keyboard. If you want to talk about straight records all the way up, you want to compare Tyson Fury record, Deontay Wilder, everything leading up to the match, everything that happened during the match, cool, by all means. Feel free to do so. Because it's not anything dealing with bias. It's just every time I think about, like, when it comes to fighters that has to do more. Now, we're talking about the days when even Sugar Ray Robinson used to smack his girl around and have domestic problems back then. You know what I'm saying? Even Charles Manson did. Accused of murdering his wife. Got locked up for it and then died in a freaking car accident, I believe. Domestic violence has been in boxing for the test of time, people. But what if you get a fighter that doesn't have a criminal record? What if you get a fighter that's trying to set the motherfucking standard so people can talk about him in good standing when it's all said and done? You know what I'm saying? What about that shit? What happens when a fighter give you everything that you look for in a fighter, one of the heaviest punchers in the game, undefeated, champion, attempting to be the people's champ, and y'all still step on his neck? If the man start boxing because his daughter, but yet you get online and say, "Oh, he ain't shit. He classless." So his daughter don't matter. If the man was working 3 jobs to support his family before he even started boxing, that shit don't fucking matter. All because you don't like the way the man's skill set is. Y'all saying, "Oh, his daughter has spina bifida," but we're talking about how he boxed. So you're not gonna give him credit for starting boxing late, still going through the Olympics with a shaky set of fundamentals and earning a bronze medal. You're still not gonna give him credit, and then working his way up to earn a title and defend it as long as he did. You're still not gonna give him credit. For individuals that's not in the news, for snatching this girl up in public out the chair and taking her back to the back and throwing a punch and trying to knock her ass out. You know, could you imagine Deontay Wilder snatching this girl up by the neck and taking it to the back? Could you imagine him having an accident when he really wasn't supposed to be out? Could you imagine him popping for Pez and cocaine and all that shit? Could you imagine if he tried to bite Tyson Fury's ear off when just after Tyson Fury was trying to lick and taste his blood? Could you imagine if Deontay Wilder would have saw that shit on the big screen and said, "Okay, motherfucker, you want to try to damn be funny and taste my blood," and goddamn bit into his motherfucking ear and try to snatch that bitch off? Could you imagine what the headlines could have saw? He's a savage. He should be banned for life. Him and Panama Lewis should get the same motherfucking punishment. But he didn't help nobody cheat. He just basically got revenge on the motherfucker. That's all. But that's still the same thing. I mean, where's the line drawn now? Y'all wanted a heavyweight champion, a U.S. heavyweight champion. Now we don't have it. Now you act like you in the adoption process and saying, "Okay, Tyson Fury is now the U.S. heavyweight champ." This is what it's come to now. You're trying to say basically Tyson Fury is the adopted U.S. heavyweight champ when you know damn well that's not the way it worked. You weren't saying that shit with Larry Holmes, Spence, Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, Frazier. Y'all weren't saying that. I didn't hear you say that with Joe Frazier. I didn't hear you treating that man like that. Y'all wasn't treating Roy Jones Jr. like that. Bernard Hopkins, Riddick Bowe. I mean, just stop me when one pops out. Like, y'all might have treated Riddick Bowe some type of way when he threw them titles in the trash can, though. Cause yeah, but still, Riddick Bowe only has 2 losses. 2 losses. And from my understanding, they probably from the same damn person. But why Deontay? Why the hate? Anyway, I'll leave that to another day because it ain't gonna never go away. It ain't gonna never go away. I'm always gonna goddamn talk about that shit because y'all look, I can't say you turn your back on him when you was already turned away from him to begin with talking shit. Y'all just only turned around to show your faces when he was in adversity and he lost his motherfucking belt. And y'all didn't want to say shit else except get online and say, "Yep, that's what we talking about right there. That's the fuck we talking about. That's what we talking about." Y'all motherfuckers happy as shit. And y'all wonder why he get on the PBC interview and barely say anything. Anyway, I'm talking about damn Terrence Crawford and Sean Porter now. Now, Sean Porter just recently came out and said that Terrence Crawford, a good friend of his, right, has a higher ring IQ than Errol Spence. And we pretty much understand where this is coming from. Sean Porter just like, Timothy Bradley has taken over. And I mean, when you get in front, when you get behind the mic, right? You have a different position in boxing. You can't always speak favorably about fighters that you might like. You have to be somewhat non-biased, but yet it is biased. It's according to who the fighter is. And we know Sean Porter has been a part of Fox now, and him and Terrence Crawford are good friends and stuff like that. But that's not to say I don't understand where he's coming from. Now, Errol Spence going in the backyard of Kell Brook and picking up that IBF title. A lot of people say, well, guess what? He fought the wrong fight. He could have made it easier for himself if he didn't fight the type of fight he did with Kell Brook. Because just like Kell Brook took punishment from Triple G, guess what? He took punishment from Errol Spence, and he was also giving it. But in the long run, Errol Spence was able to break him down. But yet and still, every time Errol Spence got hit, Errol Spence came forward. Same thing we kind of saw with Mikey Garcia. Visiting division, could have been an easier fight. He couldn't get him up out of there. But still, he fought a superb fight. It could have been a bit more versatility to his strategy or whatever to try to get Mike up out of there, being that it was his first fight at 147. Why is Sean Porter saying that Terrence Crawford has a higher IQ or more intelligent fighter or more intelligent boxer than Errol Spence? It may be the simple fact that he believes that Terrence Crawford switches up his options in the ring and doing fights. A lot of us can say a lot of Errol Spence's fight looked the same, but he get the job done. By some of the fights with Terrence Crawford look differently because he is able to switch stance. He's able to box differently from different angles, different positions, different momentum. And Terrence Crawford can box with different momentum whenever he choose to do so. You're just not going to get, a reckless Terrence Crawford just going straight forward. He just haven't presented himself as being that guy. Like, he fights the way he has to per his fight strategy, the way he's having success, and that's the way he goes in there and box. He fought Joseph Benavidez different. He fought Jeff Horn different. And he fought, Mean Machine different. Even though he faced adversity in that third round, I believe, he even switched it up after he, stood up and wasn't considered a knockdown, but he even fought the remainder part of that fight differently. And a lot of us can say the way he fought the remaining part of that fight against an undefeated fighter like Mean Machine was somewhat like Errol Spence fight generally. He fights straightforward and he's in your space. He's a present pressure fighter. Bud Crawford abandoned whatever fight strategy he had, and he pretty much took it to the street and dog walked down Mean Machine until he stopped him. Everything else didn't matter except the fact that people believe he had success. Mean Machine had success and caught Crawford on the chin. And Crawford said, well, I'm going to let you know that it's a whole different game. And I'm going to get straight to business. That's what Crawford did. So I'm thinking with Sean Porter, I want to believe that he doesn't mean any extreme malice by saying that it all boils down to intelligence as far as who's much more smarter than the other when it comes to boxing, when it comes to learning the sport. But I think more so what Sean Porter is talking about is when it comes to the fight game, when the fight is actually going on, Terrence Crawford present more variables for his opposition to deal with. That's what I believe he was getting at. Because I consider Sean Porter, a pretty no-nonsense type of dude. Like, he don't talk too much shit like that, really. Even when Adrian Broner was about to face Sean Porter and just dogging him and his dad out, Sean Porter was pretty quiet. But he's still a savage. You know what I'm saying? But him basically speaking on Terrence Crawford like that, I really don't think it has anything to degrade what Errol Spence is capable of. Because we all know Errol Spence is a dog too. He's proven that several times. More times than enough, looking at the fight with him and Kell Brook, we've seen that shit. But when it comes to in ring, in the heat of the war, switching it up when it's applicable, when it's time, I think that's what Sean Porter is coming around and basically trying to say about Terrence Crawford and how he just is flexible when it comes to giving different looks when he's in the ring as a champion, three division champion. For one, he has more experience than Errol Spence. He has more divisional championships than Errol Spence. And when it comes down to them being linked up and potentially matching up in the near future, some of that's going to play a role, man. Regardless if Errol Spence is, in the Olympics, an Olympian and so forth, I understand. But Terrence Crawford, in so many ways, he give you different pictures to the frame. Whereas Errol Spence, we know when Sean Porter, if he fought Errol Spence the way that we knew he was going to fight him, that's the Errol Spence we was going to get. He wasn't going to try to give any ground. He was going to try to hold his square and goddamn give punch for punch. And if Sean Porter was able to land a combination, Errol Spence makes sure he returned the favor. And make sure at no point in time that he allowed Sean Porter to have the momentum during the bout. He wanted to make sure he maintained that if it required for him coming forward. Staying right there in the pocket and make it an entertaining fight. The good thing about him staying that close to Sean Porter was that he was able to get that damn left hook knockdown. He was able to see that. He was able to get back the data that he needed from Sean Porter throughout the entire fight when Sean Porter was giving it to him. Errol Spence was giving it back. Even in the midst of the fight, Errol Spence was still able to see the opening to land that left hook. But my only question when it comes to this fight, if it ever happens, I hear a lot of people saying that Errol Spence is going to be too strong for a smaller Bud Crawford. And then I'm saying, I'm thinking like, how small do you all think Bud is? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, seriously, how small do you think he is? It'd be a good fight. But I'm hearing people saying that Errol Spence will wash Bud. And I got to say to you, like, I understand Errol Spence has his fans and Terrence Crawford has his fans. I understand that shit. But Errol Spence did not wash Mikey Garcia. Sean Porter did not wash Danny Garcia. Sean Porter did not wash Errol Spence. Errol Spence did not wash Sean Porter. So how are y'all figuring out that Errol Spence is going to wash Bud Crawford, who's a 3-division champion? I don't know how you're going to come to that conclusion. And listen, the question is rhetorical. I'm not asking you like I don't know. Like how the fuck do you think that shit's going to happen? That's not even logical to think. I mean, Bud is both of them guys are athletic, but I've seen Bud play other multiple sports outside of boxing. So he's just not a dude to come over here and know how to, jump rope and move laterally and throw punch combinations. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be a good fight whenever that shit does go down. But, with Bud being the type of boxer he is, will he be able to, keep that distance and land the shots he want to land with Errol Spence? Because we know Errol Spence can get hit. But then again, you ask yourself, if Errol Spence is able to land on Crawford and go to the body, will Crawford be able to handle it? It's a lot of ebbs and flows in assessing these two top tier fighters in the welterweight division. It's pointless to compare Errol Spence welterweight resume to Bud Crawford when Errol Spence has been campaigning at 147 from his fourth fight all the way up to current. It's pointless. He's been campaigning at this division for quite some time. And his breakout fight was indeed Kell Brook, picking up the IBF champion that used to be Sean Porter's. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? So when you take that in consideration, you can't add Carlos Ocampo in that motherfucker that he dropped in one round. You can't put Algieri's name in there. You can't sit up here and put Mikey Garcia in the equation, stepping up 2 weight classes. You can't do that, man. You got to look at the top tier opponents that he had that was legitimate to say, man, that was supposed to be a challenge, like the Sean Porters. That's all I'm saying, man. You cannot sit up here and compare and base Terrence Crawford percentage or quality of as a welterweight fighter just off welterweight resumes and then discard his other 2 divisions like they don't mean shit and try to say, oh, Gamboa was out of boxing until he came back and tried to fight. Or Julio Sandongo, Regis Prograis stopped him in 2 rounds and Terrence Crawford stopped him in 3. And you can't do that shit, man. Y'all got to stop that shit. Oh, nobody really cared anything about Jeff Horn. But listen, if you do your homework, Jeff Horn was undefeated. I think Terrence Crawford has like 6 undefeated fighters on his resume. Errol Spence, I believe, has maybe 2 or 3, I think. Anyway, my point is, Jeff Horn was undefeated. Mean Machine was undefeated. Joseph Benavidez was undefeated. What more do you want me to say? You know what I'm saying? Or what more do you want me to say? Like, you can compare welterweight resumes, but of course, Errol Spence's resume should supersede that of Terrence Crawford. But when these 2 match up off what Sean Porter mentioned about Terrence Crawford being a much more intelligent boxer, that has to be proven. That has to be proven, not because you're an analyst right now, not because you've been in there with Errol Spence, because for one, Sean Porter can't turn that over and say he's been in there with Terrence Crawford. Sean Porter has not fought Terrence Crawford in a 12-round championship fight. But he's been in there with Errol Spence, so he has that experience. But then again, when you say, well, you know, Terrence Crawford is a much more intelligent, that's something that has to be proven. Real talk. It'll be a good quality matchup. We look forward to it if it ever happens in the pandemic, and we hope it happens sometime real soon. You know what I'm saying? So hey, wait, what's going on, Pac-Man ATL? You got the same number? Yeah, man. Yeah, when I'm doing a live, my phone's on vibrate though. I ain't looking at my phone. Let me see. I got some missed calls too. What? We can't find this nigga anyone. Who tore it? I don't know who that. I just seen your message, man. I ain't know who what is going on with that. What the hell? But anyway, yeah, hey Tay, I'll hit you when I get off this live, man. I'm about to get off this live anyway. But yeah, I didn't even see you call, man. I don't even know what you're talking about. But I definitely hit you up when I get off the phone, man. So be by the horn, man. Be by the horn, man, when it started to go off. But yeah, Sean Porter, I don't take too much emphasis into what he say, being he's an analyst right now and everything, and a lot of stuff he's gonna say, somewhat like, they would say about Andre Ward. You know what I'm saying? They might say Andre Ward's pound for pound list might favor Terrence Crawford. But for a long time, we were saying that Terrence Crawford should be pound for pound number one. So to place that in the line of fire with Sean Porter saying that Terrence Crawford might be more intelligent fight, that may be the way they feel. Sean Porter may indeed feel that the different looks and the variety and the depth of Terrence Crawford's, skill set in general as a pure boxer, his mindset may be more intelligent than that of Errol Spence, who some people may say that, when it comes dimensionally, when operating in the ring, you can pretty much know what Errol Spence is going to do. Not to saying he's doing it terribly. You can pretty much know he's going to do. He's going to box you. He's going to box you a certain way. Then they may say Terrence Crawford is going to box you many different ways. That's all. I'm not here to talk for Sean Porter, but I just felt that he didn't mean it in a freaking demeaning the malice way. But then, when it comes to boxing, and then you have certain fighters that are friends, they may be indeed, ex parte on a lot of shit that they say on the mic because of the platform they own to get people to tune in. But that's about it. I would say this: it's gonna be a long time before we even see these two step in the square together. Unfortunately, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford. I just hope everybody stays the course and keep their belts. I really hope Manny Pacquiao get matched up with another champion and not just anybody. And I hope that champion is Terrence Crawford. I hope Terrence Crawford get the opportunity to face Manny Pacquiao and scoop that WBA belt up. So when these two meet, these two being Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, we can pretty much link that up real nice. Do the 50-50 split and have a undisputed welterweight champ. That's all we want to see. That is all we are talking about. If not, and we go into the end of 2021, no talk, because we still may not have a full audience in on deck at these venues, enough to the point where Bob Arum say no big super fights with no audience, then it's going to be unfortunate for the boxing fans, because we may indeed get this fight later than what we will hope to see it. We're trying to see this when both of these fighters are good. Even with Errol Spence coming off the accident, Errol Spence say he has been cleared to practice, but he hasn't been cleared to spar. So I really don't know if enough time has passed by where the implants is healed up and he's able to get his permanence and he's actually sparring. But word on the street is he's definitely supposed to be back in the square September, potentially against Danny Garcia, who lost to Sean Porter, who Sean Porter lost to Errol Spence. So once again, Danny Garcia get the red carpet treatment. And I think in a lot of ways that this matchup may be a little bit more complex coming off the accident than people would give it credit for Danny Garcia and Errol's fighting Errol Spence. I think Danny Garcia's style, he may make it an exciting fight. Seriously. That's all I'm saying. Danny Garcia's style matches up well to give Errol Spence a very competitive showing. And I don't want to hear people saying, that he's going to wash Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia doesn't go in there and get washed. Danny Garcia isn't laying out on the canvas You just don't get that from Danny Garcia. Once again, Mikey Garcia wasn't laying out in the canvas. But one thing we know about Errol Spence, he can box. He's tough. He got the dog in him. So Danny Garcia, he should have learned his lesson by waiting on freaking Sean Porter the way he did, and not winning that vacant WBC title. Now he got a chance to go in there and become unified champion and shock the world if he's able to pull it off. But in all honesty, I don't think he's going to get it done. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But that's all I got. I think Bob Arum made a good point. No super fights with no audience. Sean Porter, him saying that Terrence Crawford, much more intelligent boxer. In his own mind, he probably believed that off the variety and the multiple dynamic that Terrence Crawford presents when he's in the ring with his boxing IQ and the skill set that he has. I can understand where he's coming from. But a lot of people are going to take it as if they're talking about who's smart and who's not. Who wrote the long bus, who wrote the short bus of boxing. And that's not what it is. And then for Ryan Garcia, him creating a vlog or whatever, train like a professional boxer. Okay, we'll see how this take off. I don't knock him for doing that shit. Get in where you fit in, man. He's one of these internet guys who has a lot of traction off fan base, who loves, the video and the that type of internet online scene, making mid drills, speed drills, and stuff like that. His fan base is that, and they'll tune in. He just created the YouTube vlog, and like I said, 85,000 subscribers. And Ryan Garcia said he want to retire from the sport at 26 years old or something like that. And I'm gonna say this, once again, I think Ryan Garcia is going to he's going to change over to Hollywood, in his mid-20s or whatever, away from boxing. That's what I see happen. And all this shit he's doing, he's going to keep on keeping in Hollywood. And then whatever he does in boxing, I don't see him doing multiple divisions in boxing as far as championship goes. I don't see it yet. I'm not saying he ain't talented, but his upright style of boxing, it's only going to get him so far when he actually gets somebody that can get in close and change it up and force him to fight different. I think Ryan Garcia is going to, find out, and he's going to show his fans where his weaknesses are. That's just me, because most of his videos, you see that regardless of who he's been knocking out recently, in a lot of his videos, you can see how upright he boxes and where he's generating his speed from, his chest. Your power and everything is goddamn coming from your legs and everything. So I'm just curious to know what's going to happen when he starts getting hit to the body and he had to start bending those knees. Is he going to be able to fight on the inside? Will he still be able to generate that power with that speed? All that. I don't know. I can't call it right now. I know he ain't ready for Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Vasily Lomachenko, Gervonta Davis. He ain't ready for that shit. But for those of you that tuned in, I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure as always. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Stay connected. Turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. Salute.